Hello again. My name is Rob Wagoner, and today I want to talk about the Microsoft Assessment and Planning Toolkit. As we look at our aging servers, our Server 03s that are about to fall off support, our SQL Server 2005s that will be falling off of support next year, how do we understand what the customer has in their environment, especially if this is a new customer for you? That's where the Microsoft Assessment and Planning Toolkit comes in. In the blog, I've provided the link directly to this download. All we have to do here is say download now, and it'll take you to the download screen and let you download the components. For the sake of time, I've already downloaded them, and you'll have files like this: the README, the setup, the map training kit, and then some sample documents. A lot of training, a lot of understanding. I'm going to give you a quick overview today of the Assessment and Planning Toolkit. Once it's installed, we'll have the icon, and we'll bring up the tool. So here it is. The first thing we're going to do is perform an inventory. And this is a nice little wizard that'll walk us through. I'm going to focus on my Windows servers and my SQL servers because those are the aging servers that I need to identify. As you can see, there are other items we can look for here as well. We can identify Oracle servers. We could even identify Azure platform migration opportunities. I'll go ahead and click that one as well. Discovery methods. The thing I love about this tool is it can scan your network a number of different ways. We could go scan an IP range. Because all of my VMs are actually in the same domain, it's real easy. I could use my domain credentials, so I'm going to put them in here. Now that my credentials are in, I have my Active Directory options. I'm going to search the whole domain, and here I get to define my credentials as I scan these particular servers. So you can see I've already defined one. Basically what this is give me an account name and passwords, and what will I use those account names for. So when I do WMI or SQL scans, I'll use my domain privileges for that. If you have Linux servers or other items, you can also put in those particular credentials. I can now define my credential order. Because I only have one set of credentials, this isn't as big of a deal. And I could have different sets of credentials here for Linux machines or other installations I have within this network. Here's a summary of what I'm going to scan, and then I click Finish and it'll go scan. Now the great thing about a recording is I'm going to pause the recording now and come back to you when this is done. Okay, so we're back, and the assessment tool is about finished. As you can see, I've inventoried 67 machines, 0 collections remaining, and it's now completed. It gives me the object count of how it scanned these. I could close this now and then start digging into the data. Since our discussion today is primarily around Windows Server and SQL Server, I'm going to start with Windows Server. We have our current servers, Server 2012, 2012R2, 08R2. Everything else falls into the legacy servers. And as you can see, I've created 11 legacy servers just so that we could scan and identify them. Also identifies any IIS instances. As you can see, I have a few of those. Some of the servers, as you can see, show up as insufficient data. Remember, I got my server inventory from Active Directory. So if I have obsolete servers still sitting in AD, those will show up as insufficient data because that machine's been deleted but never removed from AD. So you'll have some of that. I can drill into this now and look at my legacy servers and even generate a legacy Windows Server report. This only takes a minute to generate. Open the window and then open the spreadsheet, and it gives you a rundown of what servers we've identified. Notice that a number of them have failed to be inventoried. Again, a lot of obsolete servers that just haven't been deleted from the directory. This could be a good way to go clean that up. My server inventory, I love this because it lets me have this full list of all my servers. So here are all the servers that I've created, and as you can see, I'm not that creative of a namer. My naming was built so that I could, again, flush out this video with you. But these are my servers. I failed to connect to one. I can move across this inventory. All of my legacy servers are virtual machines. If they were physical machines, they'd show up here. It tells me the OS architecture, service pack level, current operating system, Server 03s. Here's a Server 08R2 with Service Pack 1. Here's a Server 08 standard. Because they're virtual machines, You can see my active network adapter. For those that aren't virtual machines, we'll actually have physical adapters, IP addresses. How are we identifying those VMs? Lots of great detail. Registered username, my domain and work group. Number of cores, some of that is insufficient data, some of that I get a logical core count. And then the CPUs. So all of these CPUs show up as Intel Xeons, what I'm running for this setup. Some of the Hyper-V video cards. So again, good detail on these servers. I can then drill into server roles, see what server roles I've deployed on these servers. So I've got an application server, a couple terminal servers, WDS, and a web server, and it tells me the computer name for each of those roles. So now I know what I've deployed from a role perspective and even an applications perspective. What applications have I deployed? Primarily Internet Explorer, .NET Framework, SQL Server. We'll drill into more SQL detail in a few minutes. Even the VMware Client Integration plugin, because I've got some of these VMs running on top of VMware. Most of them are running on top of Hyper-V though. Additional application details. Again, very good drill down, even to software versions. So I really like this, even vCenter Server with embedded platform services and its version. So again, you're getting a full overview of not only the Microsoft solutions, but third-party solutions that are running in this environment as well. Okay, so this is our server inventory. Back to the summary. Now if I close this spreadsheet, that was a look at our legacy servers. How do I identify my legacy servers for the upgrade? And then SQL Server. As you can see, I have my total count of SQL servers. I can drill into this and it gives me a nice graphic. I can also generate this spreadsheet. Now I have the SQL Server Assessment Report and then the Database Details Report. So the assessment report will tell me what versions of SQL are out there and basically what's going on. The Database Details Report will tell me about the different databases within that SQL Server. For the sake of the legacy migration plan, I'm just going to show you the assessment report. It's quickly generated and we open the spreadsheet. Now again, nice summary. Database instances. This shows me the database instances out there. SQL Server version, what service pack, even the edition. So I've got some SQL Server Express, Enterprise, Standard as well. If I were clustered, which none of these are, this would tell me, but it gives me a good overview of what's going on with my SQL servers. Service pack levels, architecture, how many cores I've dedicated. I want to share this with you. I have one AMD Opteron showing up with 2 cores. I don't run an Opteron in my environment because this is the same domain I set up the Azure site-to-site VPN with. I actually have a SQL Server running in Azure. The inventory tool was able to define it because I have the site-to-site VPN set up. So it even identified my SQL Server that's running in Azure. Again, handy little breakdown here, but I could see that's the MSTS2 SQL Server. Scroll back over here and let me show you the rest of these details. Again, processor architecture, the disks, how much disk space I have available and free, number of host processors. Again, a nice starting point to understand what applications your customer has deployed so you know how to build this plan to remediate them. The last thing I want to touch on, we talked about the SQL Server, Azure VM readiness. So 10 machines with SQL Server, 4 of them are ready now to go to Azure. 6 of them can be ready after changes. When we look at the version of the database that's supported in Azure, the earlier database versions aren't supported in Azure. So this shows you what could be migrated now, what could be migrated after we do an upgrade. And again, so I get this spreadsheet breakdown of Azure VM readiness. And again, this shows me my Windows machines, operating system supported in Azure. We can see this yes, no checkbox here. Some of these ought to come up no, correct? Server 2003 is not supported in Azure, but it shows what we need to do to mitigate this issue so that we could migrate these VMs to Azure if we wanted to. So the Assessment and Planning Toolkit is a big toolkit that gives you a lot of capabilities. I just touched on 3 of those quick capabilities today. How do I identify legacy servers? How do I identify legacy SQL servers? And how can I identify those virtual machines or even physical machines that could be migrated to Azure? That's all I have today. Thank you for joining me, and I wish you well.